better and more transparent compliance and monitoring within the charities and community and voluntary sector. And we would really ask for the support of the members over there for this supplementary order paper. Thank you.
I call the Honourable Member Michael Woodhouse.
I move that the question be now put.
No, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to call the Honourable Member Lewissa Wall.
Kia ora, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. 10 minutes. Wow, we'll see. This is my first, clause by clause kōrero and contribution. I have spoken in every part tonight, but I do want to focus on the title, and it seems appropriate that this bill is called the Crown Entities Reform Act 2011. When I look at the definition of reform, it's quite interesting. I like looking at dictionaries, actually. So reform, make changes in order to improve something. The synonyms are amend, mend, improve, reclaim. It's about reformation, amendment and improvement. And I think all of us tonight have been interested, particularly in Part 3, in the evidence for the reform that we're seeing in this bill. What we would say dictates using that word reform actually is about having the evidence to, in this instance, merge the Charities Commission with the Department of Internal Affairs. What we don't see in this bill is any evidence or rationale for why we should do that. From our perspective, we think the first principles review that is currently in the Charities Act would have provided that evidence, and also it would have enabled input from the sector. That is the community and voluntary sector, the not-for-profit sector, the charities sector, which actually incorporates 93,000 entities, and we have over 25,000 registered charities in New Zealand. So what in fact this title says is actually quite contradictory, because the reform that we will see, particularly in Part 3, has had no evidence, it's had no input from the sector, and it's actually incumbent on us as the opposition to make sure that the voices of the community and voluntary sector who have come to us, who came to the Select Committee. So of the 43 submissions we received, 20 were specifically about Part 3 and 19 of those submissions opposed. Which then, I can then possibly go into to the commencement, which we would obviously advocate the support for my colleague Trevor Mallard's bill, which wants to let due process, his SOP, his amendment, due process take its course. So we would want to see the Charities Commission Act go through the review that is scheduled. That is part of the bill that was created after 10 years of engagement with the sector. It just seems so ridiculous that this government doesn't think that that process and that history, particularly, what are you saying, come on for, Sam? These are our communities. These are our communities that are spread right around the country, who actually provide services and support and are working at the coalface with the communities, families and children that we all serve. I mean, I'm in an electorate where I have numerous community and voluntary sectors who are trying to meet the needs of our community. So, we take seriously the fact that our community and voluntary sector have actively engaged in lobbying myself, lobbying Denise, lobbying Dennis, lobbying, many of us who care about the community and voluntary sector to be their voices, to speak for them in this House, because they are being ignored. That side of the House doesn't care about the community, the stakeholders, specifically in relation to the merger of the Charities Commission into the Department of Internal Affairs. And all we're trying to say is, why don't you let due process happen, let the first principles review happen, take the sector with you, don't leave them behind. And, I find it incredible that the Minister of the community and voluntary sector hasn't advocated for the people that she's there to serve. So it's incumbent on myself, as Labour's spokesperson for the community and voluntary sector, for Denise as her
Order.
party's...
I didn't call the member the first time, but you've actually used...
Denise Roach, who is the Green Party spokesperson on the community and voluntary sector. Dennis O'Rourke, who is the spokesperson on internal affairs. So we have attempted on this side of the House, Mr Chair.
I call the honourable member Kamaljeet Bakshi. Sat Sri Akal.
Sat Sri Akal. I move the question be now put.
The question is that the question be now put. As many of that opinion will please say aye.
The motion has to be put without any preface. That member prefaced something before he put it, therefore it's invalid.
Actually, it's my fault, but the member's absolutely right. The member can only say, I move that the question be now put. He could not have responded to the greeting that I gave him, so I made the mistake, but I cannot accept the motion, and therefore I have to go to the side of the House. Point of order, the honourable member Kamaljeet Bakshi.
Mr Speaker, I replied back to your greetings.
Yes, I know.
I didn't do anything else. If you had not asked for the greetings, I could not have done it.
Yes. No, I understand that and I accept responsibility. My mistake. However, having said that, I have to decline the motion and I seek a call.
Mr Chair.
I call the honourable member Chris Hipkin.